Okay. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another day of Coffee Talk. And I know I started mine a little late this morning, but still wanted to get it in and just share some really good info with you guys this morning on continuing different topics on Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So today I'm going to cover a little bit of what options do you have as a survivor of sexual assault. So in this coffee talk, it'll be mainly on adults. So I would say 18 and over, just because it's completely different when we're talking about the sexual assault of a child, correct? So before I did outreach, I was an advocate here for Montgomery County Women's Center for, I want to say 3 years. And so part of the job was going to the hospital, responding whenever somebody was just recently sexually assaulted or they just got out of, it was a very severe, it was domestic violence and they were severely beaten. They had to go and get checked. And so we would meet them at the hospital. A majority of our calls were sexual assault. I always like to bring up the fact that, sexual assault happens to everybody. It does not discriminate. I have seen all ages. I have seen all genders. I have seen all ethnicities, all economic status. It does not discriminate, right? And so a lot of the times when I go to the schools and present, many of the kids will say, oh, well, you must only see girls, right? Or you must only see women at the hospital. And I'm like, no, I see teenage boys just like you too. And because it happens to everybody. And so, especially when we talk about sexual assault, being able to educate yourself and being able to know that if I know these simple things on what to tell somebody if they are disclosing to me that they were sexually assaulted, it can be a world of a difference. Because I don't know how many times I've answered the phone and I had clients now, but saying, I was a survivor of sexual assault and this happened to me a year ago, and I'm finally now being able to speak about it because I spoke about it and I didn't know what to do. I told a friend and they just said, go to counseling, talk to somebody. But I didn't know there was options to go to the hospital, right? And that's a big one. So let's start. So if somebody discloses to you and they say, I was sexually assaulted last night, so on and so forth, they do have the option of going to the hospital. Now, back then, there was not that many hospitals that had sexual assault nurse examiners. So that's short. That's the long for SANE. And if you've ever heard a SANE nurse, that being said, those nurses are certified in forensic exams. So they can do those exams on anybody who has been sexually assaulted. So either a child or an adult. When you go to the hospital, a lot will be going on. I always tell, survivors, you will probably have to tell your story more than once. You will have to, be patient because it is a hospital. I know that you've just gone through something really, really traumatic, but right now what's most important is their health. Right. And I like to remind them that because many times they don't want to go to the hospital. They hesitate. They don't want to go through the process. But, just reminding them that their health is at utmost important. And what they need to do now is get checked, especially if the assault happened by somebody that they didn't know or someone that they did know. And let's say, for example, a person didn't use protection, whatever the case is, it doesn't matter. Go and get checked, get seen, anything that your health is your number one priority. So when you go to the hospital, you are able to get a forensic exam. A nurse will go to the hospital and provide that forensic exam for you. A lot of the times, depending on what happened, what the story is, the nurses will ask you, can we keep this clothing? Can we keep this? And, I've worked with these nurses for so long. They are the best care that you can think of. They are very empathetic. They're very sweet. They will go only as far as you want to go, right? And if any point you don't feel comfortable finishing the exam or you just don't think that, you get started and you're like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. It's completely up to you because, when you were sexually assaulted, you felt like you lost that control over you, right? You felt like you had no control in what was going on. And so now that you're at the hospital, you're the person in control, right? You get to say, I do want to report. I don't want to report. I just want to get checked. I just want to make sure I'm okay, right? No one will ever push you to do something. And I'm not going to say that you will always get the best people. You know, there will be people who will judge, who will victim blame, like we talked about, I want to say last week. But just know that there are people there for you, okay? So when you do the forensic exam, you will also be asked if you want to report, right? And if you do decide to report, the forensic exam is covered by the police department that takes your report, okay? Also, if you do not want to report, you can also still get an exam, okay? The only difference is that if you choose not to report and you do the exam will be stored away, okay? So it's stored away, and I want to say for maybe 2 years. I don't know if it has changed. It's stored for 2 years, your evidence. And then if after 2 years you decide to still not report, I believe it gets destroyed. I'm not sure if it has changed or if it's the same, but then you can also choose to report. Then the police, whoever it is that takes your report is the ones that take that evidence for you, and they will do that, take it to the lab and do all that stuff, okay? Now I know this is something new and I didn't even know because like I said, I've been doing, last time I did advocacy was probably like, I want to say like a year and a half ago. So now they do like a number tracking on your evidence collection. So like once they do the forensic exam on you, they'll give you a number, and then you'll be able to follow along on where your evidence is, okay? Now, a lot of the times, this has changed over the years, which I'm really, really glad. So how much time do you have to go get a forensic exam? You have 120 hours, which just totals out to 5 days, okay? So you have 5 days after the assault to go and get a forensic exam, go get checked, go and get seen on like, are you okay? I know a lot of the times we have survivors who worry about, you know, sexually transmitted diseases, HIV, you know, emergency contraception. All of that can be done at the hospital, right? When you're at the hospital, I think the neat thing is that everybody comes to you. So you're there. So the nurse will meet you there. The police officer taking your report will meet you there. An advocate, myself, will meet you there. It doesn't matter what time of the day it is. You can go 2 a.m., 3 a.m., whatever it is. They call us. They just give us an age, a gender, and we show up. And we'll be there with you, trying to guide you and kind of give you resources on what to do next, right? Because, you know, nobody prepares you for stuff like this, right? Nobody says, you know, if you get sexually assaulted, this is what you do, right? Because, I mean, the goal is for this to not happen to anybody, right? For nobody to ever have to be a victim of this horrendous crime, right? So you have 5 days to go to and get a forensic exam. You can choose to report or not to report. It's up to you. You're also entitled to have an advocate present, right? So if you go to the hospital and they don't call like a women's center or crisis center, you can request one and say, can I have an advocate here with me? And depending on what county you live, they'll call one, okay? So like if we're Montgomery County, I know that we respond. I know we go to all of the HCA's hospitals and a couple of the St. Luke's ones. So you will have somebody there. And when the advocate is present, you can also request them to stay in the interview. So if the police is going to interview right there and then, you can say, I want my advocate here, and we'll sit there with you as support, okay? We're not allowed to say anything. All we're there to do is pretty much just kind of be like a shoulder to lean on, okay? Also, when you get the forensic exam, you can also request one of us to be in there with you, and it's completely up to you. Like I said, you are the one that is in charge. You are the one that gets to say if you even want us there. I mean, if you don't want us there, you don't have to have us there. It's all up to you. So if they call an advocate and we show up and you didn't want us there, you're more than welcome to say, I feel okay by myself. I don't need anybody here. And by all means, you know, let us know, because we don't ever want to feel like we are intervening in your personal space, and rather than helping out, we are not helping out, okay? And like I said, at the hospital, they will talk to you about like your risk, about whether you should get medication for STIs, HIV, whatever it is, and then emergency contraception if that's something that you want. Now, this is all like immediate, right? All of these things that I'm saying, you know, the report versus non-report, going and getting a forensic exam, all of these are immediate things that happen after, but weeks after, you know, months after, you know, you start receiving medical bills, right? Now you're having to deal with the trauma, right? You are now falling into, you know, the depression, you're getting anxiety, whatever it is, wherever it happened, you can't go out. Now you're dealing with the aftermath, correct? So then this is where the long-term care comes in, and, you know, advocates follow you along the way as much as you want us to, right? So when you're done with all the immediate stuff, you can always reach back out to your advocate and talk about services now for the future, right? So if you're interested in counseling, you can take counseling at like crisis centers like ours, and they are completely free, especially if we're nonprofit. So our advocacy services are free to you. Our counseling services are also free to you guys. And we will, you know, follow up with you as much as you need us to, as much as you want us to. And so we can help you fill out like a crime victims compensation form. So that is something that is there for the aftermath. So if you get medical bills, if you're having to travel a lot because of the sexual assault, you're having to relocate, you had to, you're traveling, there's a certain criteria that you have to meet. You're traveling more than 20 miles to go see a counselor and back. Whatever it is that you are having to spend out of pocket because of the sexual assault, crime victims compensation can help you with that. Now, it does not mean that they will. It does not mean that you are going to receive this big check. It just means that you are able to apply. You're able to tell them that A, B, C, D happened to you, and you need help, right? You need help because you relocated. You need help because you maybe you couldn't work because of all of that, right? Also, another program that you can get in contact with is VINE. So that's Victim Information Notification Every Day. And so this one allows victims of crime to use like their phone or your computer, and you can download the app, and you can know the custody status of the offender. So if for some reason you like have no idea what's going on, you just know your case number, you know the name of the offender, and they got arrested, you can know like the status of them, like what is any status changes, custody changes, whatever it is. Victim Information Notification Every Day will let you know if you have a case number or you have the name of the offender, okay? And then last but not least, Address Confidentiality Program, so short ACP. They are really neat programs. So we use that one for also domestic violence survivors. So if you are worried about, like, let's say this person knows where you live, and now you've reported, you've done all of this, and you're in fear of like, and you want to move, and you're in fear that they're going to know, that somebody's going to let them know, you can apply for this program, and it will actually do like a fake address for you. So like, for example, if you're living here in Conroe and you relocated to, I don't know, Houston, right? And you don't want this person to know at all where you're living, it will have like a PO box from a different area, right? So then you can change this on your mail, you can change this on your license. I think the only thing you can't do is like receive like if you have like a subscription to magazines, it'll still get to your house. But if you want that confidentiality, then all it will do is like your important stuff, right? Like, so like your license, your personal mail, bills and stuff like that. And to apply for all of these programs, you can go to any, you can do it yourself, or, but mainly for like ACP and like CBC, it's important that you go and see an advocate, a crisis center, somebody that can help you along the way to apply for it, so that way they know that you have been working with somebody. So those are some rights that you have as a survivor. I'm trying to see if I can think of any more, but if you guys think of any more, please leave it in the comments. I just hope this finds somebody helpful, because I know that many times, you know, we don't know what do we do, right? After an assault, our main priority is not, you know, let me go to the hospital because I need to get checked, right? It's what just happened? What am I gonna do? I need to go home. I just wanna go take a shower. I wanna anything but having to tell my story and having to get myself checked, right? I mean, and I think this is where a lot of the, sorry, I'm going on. This is where a lot of the victim blaming goes on, because many times people will say, well, right after it happened, why didn't you go and report, right? Why are you barely coming out now? And it's so sad because, you know, if you are not the one that's going through the assault, didn't go through it, you're not in their shoes. You don't know what's going through their mind. Everybody reacts differently. And, you know, that's not anybody's priority at the moment, right? It's not, you know, I just was assaulted and I need to go report, especially if it was a sexual assault. So these are just some rights that you have. Like I said, if you guys can think of any, just put it down in the comments. It's been a while since I've been to the hospital, but I do miss the work. And, you know, to all the advocates out there, you know, I commend you highly because it's such a difficult job, but it's such a rewarding job. So thank you guys.